Why do I always feel nervous in new situations and old situations
It's interesting that you went there, because we were about to go there with you. That in new situations, before you've had an opportunity to figure out where the other one is. And so what happens with most people, start again, that isn't what we are recommending, but that is what most people are attempting. We're going to show you what we would do instead. So let's back up and make this more clear. So when you feel awkward, or what were your words? Nervous in new situations, it's because in your human way of approaching situations, you're trying to find common ground. You're trying to find common interests that you might have interesting conversation about. But once you begin caring about what disc you're on, and therefore allowing the universe to cause the rendezvousing, that awkwardness will go away for the most part, because you won't be rendezvousing with anybody that's not right up to speed with you. There's a more base reason for your rendezvous. You could be unknowledgeable about the most important thing in another person's life. For example, they could be really excited about soccer, and you might not be, and you might not even know much about the rules about it. Or they might be really interested in some instrument that they play as a musician, and it might not be the kind of music that is appealing to you. But you could still be on such intense vibrational matching wavelengths with that person that even though at the face of the conversation you might not have what feels like natural interest, because you are vibrationally same, all kinds of new discoveries would begin to happen between you, you see. And the most satisfying of conversations are those conversations where the ideas are flowing with you each while you are there, new stuff happening. In other words, when you get together with someone and they just tell the same stories that they always tell, and you tell the same stories that you always tell, and you're rolling your eyes because you really didn't like that story the first 100 times you heard it, that's not very satisfying. But when you are new in this moment, as you always are, tuned in, and you are in alignment with Source, who knows who you are and knows who they are and knows what the paths of most alignment are between you, the two of you will then be inspired. You will feed each other. There's a synergy in that. It's like Esther fashions the picture of roller derby. Did you ever watch roller derby? Long time ago. And they would take their partner and just heave them forward with momentum. It's like you get a thought, and then the next gets a thought, and the next gets a thought, and the next gets a thought. Those are the kind of conversations you want to be in on. You don't just want to know what they might like to think about, so you've sort of Googled it and got some things in your mind that you might want to say. It's the inspired thought that you're having together that makes for the best conversations. You want to go to new places, not regurgitate old places, you see. And so if you take the time to get on that high-flying disc, then the universe is going to match you up with a partner who has the potential of, with you, discovering new thought together. And it's the kind of conversation where neither one of you know for sure who thought of it, because you both rendezvoused at that thought at such precisely the same time that it didn't matter whose mouth what came out of, because off you go further and further and further and further and further. Co-creation at its best, you see.
I have a lot of step one moments.
So if you have been having conversations with people where you feel tongue-tied or where you feel uninterested in what they are saying, then the remedy for that is get on your high-flying disc and then. Get on your high-flying disc and then. So someone says, hey, you want to get together? Can't. Why not? I'm not on my high-flying disc. Want to get together? Can't. Why not? I'm on my high-flying disc, but I don't think you are. Want to get together? Yeah. Oh, I thought you might. I just had an impulse to call you. Yeah, it's perfect timing for me. What are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. Let's get together and do nothing. Yeah.
Can you touch on this real quick? It's not that I don't like myself. It's that I don't like myself. Would you agree with that?
We would agree that we don't want you to not like yourself. We would agree with that. But you're really going to like this. So We said to you that you were born on that high flying disc, and so anything less than that makes you not feel good. And the reason you don't feel good is because you're not up to speed with who you really are. So it isn't that you don't like yourself, it's that you're not allowing yourself to be yourself. The absence of who I really am sucks. It just doesn't feel good, and it's never going to feel good. And so that's a good thing to be aware of that. That's like saying, okay, I'm going to get on the high flying disc. Abraham, you've convinced me that I'm going to get on the high flying disc, but if I fall off, I'm going to be so mad at myself. And we say that really is the problem that so many of you have with all of this, is that you want to feel good, and when you don't, you feel bad about not feeling good, which is just getting more specific and carving out more pipes toward what you don't want. So what could you say instead? Say the sentence again.
It's not that I don't like myself.
It's not that I don't like myself. What is it? If it's not that you don't like yourself, what is it?
Then I'm focusing on the negative aspect.
No, that's the other side of that. Abraham, it's not that I don't like myself. The truth of it is I adore myself. I adore myself. But I don't like myself when I don't adore myself. We're kind of sorting this out.
Yeah.
I don't like myself when I don't adore myself. Well, you got to kind of practice adoring yourself because you got old pipes. You may not realize this, but there are people who are not in alignment, and when they look at you, they don't like you because they don't like anything. They're on the I don't like anybody disc. So when they hold you, most teachers are somewhere around there. So a lot of parents feeling sort of overwhelmed. And so when somebody has been holding you as their object of attention, and they've not been tuned into source energy, but they've been tuned to this critical, so you sort of develop some of those patterns yourself. But there is not anything in all of the universe that would cause anyone to feel worse than getting down on self, because there's nothing that the source within you is more up on. There's no object of attention that the source within you feels better about than you. And when you find some reason, whether you can justify it with some behavior or somebody else's opinion or not, when you find some reason to not like you, of course you're going to feel bad. That's the very worst thing that you could do. That's the worst you can feel, is to hold yourself as your object of attention and find some critical thought, because that takes you further from who you really are and for what you intended when you came forth. You said, I'm going to come into this physical body and I'm going to tune to the frequency of my source, and I'm going to hold others as my object of attention, and they're going to benefit by my connection to this powerful energy. When you get on that high flying disc, you have the leverage of the energy that creates worlds flowing through your gaze. And when you turn it against yourself, it is painful, you see. So don't do that. Helpful?
Yes, and just before I go, I wanted to, well, I actually forgot my question, but let me think of that real quick.
Think about this. That's because it was a question that was posed before this conversation happened. So it's a question that's not quite up to the frequency of who we are together here, you see. So it didn't fit. So you got a little tongue-tied, you see. But surely there's something that's on your mind as a result of where we are. Say that.
There it is again. I'm tongue-tied.
Well, it's only because of practice.
Yeah.
I like being the deliberate creator of my experience. I like knowing this stuff. I appreciate that we're speaking for you. I appreciate the clarification that's happened here. Everything you said, Abraham, I did hear, and I did feel resonance within me. There's nothing that you said here that I did not understand.
Sometimes I feel like I'm maybe balancing on the middle of the stick, and it's hard to go forward to the positive aspect of things.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure,
really
on lots of
focused
things.
on the
Everybody's like
part.
that. Everybody's like that. But acknowledging that is really an important thing. So do you believe that you can carve out a pipeline toward what you want or a pipeline toward what you don't want? Do you think you have that ability?
Yes.
And do you believe that you can tell by the way you feel which you're doing? So do you think that that statement that you just made just now, true statement, do you think it served you or didn't serve you? A sort of statement of what is. Sometimes I think that I'm right in the middle, and sometimes I think it's hard. Do you think that statement served you? It's true, but do you think it served you? Do you want to keep carving out the path to hard, or do you want to carve out the path to easy? So change that statement just a little bit if you can.
It's easier to lean in the direction of positive since I'm in the middle.
Now we're going to give you something really important. When you don't say what you mean, the universe hears what you do mean.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't really want to spend a lot of time trying to fix where you are, because it's sort of like shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. It just sometimes adds momentum in the direction that you don't want it to go. So that's why we're saying start in the morning, get on the high-flying disc. Now, this is sort of like that, though. Don't you feel resonance with who you are and what you know in a stronger way than usual right now? Yeah. Don't you feel clearer about this? Doesn't it all seem easier? And don't you sort of want to keep it in that easier place? We're not saying not get specific, because nothing is more exhilarating than to start out on the high-flying disc and stay there and to get more and more specific, because, oh, it's so rich when more details come and you begin engaging with others who really have exceptional intelligence and attraction power on subjects. In other words, we're not talking about non-action, and we're not talking about non-specific, but we are talking about getting on the high-flying disc and then focusing in the direction of those things, you see. So what do you think of all of the things, if you had an opportunity to speak with infinite intelligence, if you had an opportunity to call out in some way and hear something, what would you most want to hear? What do you want to hear?
Is there anything my higher being is telling me?
What do you most want to hear? What do you most want to hear? What is it that you're reaching for above all other things? What do you most want to know?
My worthiness?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're flowing all day long everything at you that is in your discernible vicinity to help you to know that. But you got to tune yourself. That's what you want to tune yourself to being aware of, you see. We reach out into this big room of people and we pluck you right out. Did you see it happen?
Yes, I did.
We were looking over there, but we could feel you over there. Did you see that happen?
Yes, I did.
And did you see us? We weren't looking for faces. We weren't looking there. We were looking for the feeling of what we were looking for. And there you were. We found you right there. Right there. That's where you were. You were calling out to us. And we heard you, you see. And in the same way that we can pick you out of a room and bring you here and talk about anything that matters to you, we can pick you out of everything that exists in all of the universe, and we can flow to you everything that we know you are and everything that we know that you've gathered through all of the days of your life. And when you're on the track of that, you'll feel that ease. And when you're off the track, you won't feel so good. So let the questions that you ask be chosen for that feeling factor more than for that intellectual factor, you see. What you want to do is figure out how to get on that high-flying disc, and everything else will take care of itself. Really, it will.
Thank you.
Yeah.